Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to brothers and sisters in Islam. Today I'm going to be talking about the way people judge one another. Today I'll be speaking about a hadith which I heard many years back, but since I'm unable to locate it, let's take this as a moral story. There was once a woman who had no father, no husband, nor any son, who would actually provide for her. So this woman had no other option other than to sell herself. That was her income. Living opposite her was a married woman. The married woman would spend hours near her window just to see who was coming and who was going. One day, only to feed her curiosity, she got this massive pot. And she would put a stone inside the pot each and every single time some man went into her house. And that's pretty much how her whole entire day went. And when the day would end, by the end of the day, she would actually count those stones just to entertain herself. So what is the consequence of this woman? This woman actually went to hell. Because Allah said, you saw this woman, and this woman was financially distressed. Whatever she did for 2 rotis, 2 bits of bread. But you were financially well-to-do. You saw and you also knew how bad her situation was, and still you did not help her. If you wanted, you could have provided those means. You could have provided the bread that she was doing all of this for. But you didn't do that. Now you go to hell, and this woman will go to heaven. And some of you are going to say, well, she created a moral story because she couldn't find something from the Sunnah. Well, here it is, something from the Sunnah. There are examples from the Sunnah as well. You can check it out in the description box below. And let me show you a short testimony of a young man in Cardiff. Young homeless man shares real truth about sleeping rough in Cardiff, Wales.
Now what happened?
Well, my dad's an alcoholic and we basically fell out. And I'd rather stay out than stay with my dad.
Now how old are you?
21.
So you just feel safer out here than...
Much safer out here.
That's got to be a horrible feeling.
They've been walking by, they've been spitting at me. They've called me a junkie, they've called me a drinker. I don't drink, I don't take drugs. That's all I do is smoke cigarettes. And I've been called all sorts. I've been called, get a job, get this, do that, get off your ass. Well, I haven't got nothing and I haven't got nobody to help me, so what could I do? How can I get the help? Where can I get a job? You know? Why are you sleeping rough? Because problems in my life. But why didn't you get up and go and sleep somewhere else? Because I haven't got nowhere else to sleep. I've got nowhere else to sleep.
People are so judgmental. They don't know what it's like.
I know. You'd never believe how judgmental they really are. You're just the same as everybody else. You're just a human being, just to get by.
Now you must be thinking, why am I showing you a homeless being? And let me give you an example. Being homeless is somewhat similar to being without a religion. When you leave the house, lock the door behind you. No matter how big or small it is, it's some place to turn back to. It doesn't matter how difficult your day was. You return home and get the comfort that you need. The same goes with those that have a religion. No matter how your days are, no matter how your times are, you turn back to Allah. You turn to God. Here is another example. Let me tell you about an Indian woman who married a British Indian man, and after marrying him and obtaining citizenship, she leaves him. At first instant, you would say, what an evil woman. What a selfish woman who just takes advantage. But here's the full story. The British Indian man of Hindu background brings her from India and makes her work as a chambermaid. The woman had been lied to and given false hopes that he would treat her very nice and like a princess. But he didn't do that. In fact, he made her work as a maid. At home too, she wasn't treated right. He often used to beat her and misuse her, just wasn't behaving the right way. The woman leaves him just after obtaining British citizenship. Now I know you're going to say this woman could have left him earlier. Then let me tell you more. This woman did try to leave him. She called her mother, and her mother said, when she called her mother back home in India, her mother advised her to never return, because if she did, nobody would accept her after the divorce, and that she would find either a divorced man or a divorced man with children. Things will get worse back home in India, and that they were very poor and they could not afford her. Now you see the difference between what you first heard and what you heard now. But I'm not going to tell you to not be judgmental, because judging is like blinking. As you blink, as you judge. But what I will tell you is when you judge someone, or whenever you judge someone, have more options in your mind available. If, for example, you see a homeless person, also assume that there may be a need. It's not always that this person is a drunkard, and so on and so forth. When you judge Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace be upon him, for the Muslims he's a prophet, but for you, what do you know about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Even when you see something from your own eyes, there could be another truth hidden behind that. Do you realize that you are building a final decision, a final opinion, only on reading, not even seeing? When the fact is that even what you see could go wrong. Even what you hear could go wrong. For example, I gave you an example of a woman who left her husband after obtaining citizenship. So that observation got wrong when we tell you what exactly happened to her. The most logical way about religion is what makes more sense, Tawheed or Trinity, one God, one separate entity, Prophet, a separate entity. That's what you need to worry about. Are the Islamic critics criticizing the Prophet because they cannot argue or win from concepts? Is that a possibility? That's what you need to worry about. You know what? I'm extremely against judgmental behavior. If anyone judges Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or if anyone judges anyone, I will stand in the way, because I know how it feels like when people judge you. I understand that this is human nature to judge, but when people behave differently because of that judgment, that is when it begins to pain. Some fellow Muslims, they don't understand me, but my say is that when these Islamic critics criticize our beloved Prophet, some fellow Muslims actually do things to prove them right. One is attacking our beloved Prophet, and the other is attacking the teaching of our beloved Prophet by misrepresenting the religion itself. Reaction videos are not always informative, but they can be misrepresentative when you show the wrong reaction. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I didn't do that in the same situation as you. These things are called being judgmental. You need to think about and need to question. Bring your mind over whether there are other things too that need to be taken into consideration as well. Is the gender difference a factor? Is the situation difference a factor? Is the upbringing a factor? If you become overly judgmental, you will make Muslims seem like narrow-minded individuals. So therefore expect the same from those people that follow people like David Wood, apostate, etc., etc. And I have to say that not every Muslim represents their deen perfectly, just as every Christian does not represent Christianity perfectly, and the list goes on. Judge by the book, not by the person. And if you are going to judge the person, well then in that case I would say, read the book first. Some of you say that your prophet was a plagiarist. Let's suppose if I agree with that, for the sake of the argument, then ask a Muslim or read the book and compare it with the Bible. Which are those verses which he copied? You only copy what you like. If he copied good verses from the Bible, this means that he was a good person. You know, even if I agree with you on him being a plagiarist, even then I win the argument. With accepting many things, why did he reject Trinity? Is and should be your question. I hope that helps. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Take care and goodbye.